So, you're a contractor in Pennsylvania, and you're trying to figure out all the rules for getting licensed and bonded. Yeah, it can be a real headache. In this explainer, we're going to break it all down, step by step, so you can get compliant and get back to what you do best, running your business.
Do Pennsylvania's contractor rules feel kind of like a maze? Trust me, you are not alone. Figuring out what you need, where you need it, it's a common struggle, but we're about to make it crystal clear. And okay, here's the real kicker. The main reason it's so confusing is that Pennsylvania doesn't have one single general contractor license for the whole state. Instead, you've got this patchwork quilt of different rules, some from the state and others from the specific city or county you're working in.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at the whole licensing landscape. Then we'll zoom in on the state HIC bond, touch on some key city-level rules, talk about what this will actually cost you, and then wrap it up with 3 easy steps to get it all done.
Okay, let's dive right in. The most important thing to get your head around is this split between what the state requires versus what your local town or city requires. So, here's how Pennsylvania splits things up. The state handles one big area, residential home improvement. If you do more than $5,000 a year in home improvement work, the state has rules for you. But if you're doing commercial-only jobs, that's when you have to look at the local rules set by your city or county.
Okay, so knowing that, let's zoom in on the big one, the requirement that affects thousands of contractors all across Pennsylvania. We're talking about the Home Improvement Contractor Bond, also known as the HIC bond.
$50,000. That's the magic number here. The Home Improvement Consumer Protection Act says you need a $50,000 surety bond. Now, let's be super clear, that is not what you're going to pay. That's just the amount of coverage the bond provides to protect your customers. We'll get to your actual cost in just a bit.
So what is this HIC bond anyway? Well, it's basically a financial guarantee that you file with the Pennsylvania Attorney General. Its whole purpose is to protect homeowners. If something goes wrong and you don't fulfill your contract, this bond is there to help make sure they don't suffer a financial loss.
But hold on, the bond isn't the only thing you need. To get fully registered as a home improvement contractor, you also have to show you've got liability insurance, at least $50,000 for property damage and another $50,000 for personal injury. Then you just pay the $50 registration fee to the Attorney General.
All right, now let's switch gears and talk about the local level, because even if you've got your state HIC registration all set, you might need more depending on where you work. Let's look at a couple of the biggest cities, Philly and Pittsburgh.
And Philadelphia is a perfect example of how specific this can get. It's not one size fits all. A Class A demolition contractor needs a $50,000 bond, same as the state HIC bond amount, but an excavation contractor needs a $10,000 bond, and a curb setter only needs a $1,000 bond. And remember, these are on top of any state HIC registration you need.
And the thing is, what works in Philly doesn't necessarily work in Pittsburgh. Each city has its own process. In Philadelphia, you're dealing with the Department of Licenses and Inspections, or L&I. But head over to Pittsburgh, and you're registering with the Department of Permits, Licenses, and Inspections, or PLI. 2 different cities, 2 different agencies, 2 different sets of rules.
Okay, this all sounds complicated, which leads to the one question every business owner asks. What's this actually going to cost me? So let's talk about the price tag. So the price you pay for the bond is called the premium, and it's just a small slice of that total bond amount. The biggest thing that decides your rate? It's your personal credit score. For that $50,000 state HIC bond, someone with good credit is probably looking at paying between $500 to $1,000 a year. If your credit is a bit more challenged, that rate goes up to reflect the higher risk.
Okay, we've covered the what and the how much. Now, let's put it all together. It really just boils down to 3 simple steps to get you squared away and fully compliant. Step 1. Figure out exactly what you need. Do you need the state HIC bond, a local bond, maybe both? Step 2. Apply for your bond online. You can get a quote really fast, and most of these HIC bonds get approved in less than a day. And finally, Step 3. File your bond with the Attorney General, pay that $50 fee, and get registered. It's truly that straightforward.
But what if the worst happens? What if a client files a claim against your bond? This is super important to understand, because that bond is there to protect your customer, not you.
So here's how it plays out. It starts with a consumer filing a complaint. Then, the surety company that issued your bond jumps in to investigate if the claim is legitimate. If it is, the surety pays the customer up to that full $50,000. And this is the part you really need to hear. You are on the hook to pay that surety company back for every single penny. That's why doing good, honest work is always your best policy.
So after all that, it really comes down to this one question for your own business. When you think about all these different state and local rules, are you absolutely sure that you're fully protected and compliant everywhere you work in Pennsylvania?
Ready to get this sorted out? The good news is, the next step is super simple. You can get your surety bond quote in just minutes at buysuretybonds.com.